Good morning. Welcome to my channel. As you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be talking about my experience with getting my tubes removed at 24 years old. So I had what is known as a laparoscopic bilateral salpingectomy. So they made 3 incisions, 1 at my belly button and 2 at each of my hips. Or, well, 1 at each of my hips, respectively. Then they went in with laparoscopic tools and removed both of my fallopian tubes, meaning I am no longer able to become pregnant. So this is, something I was thinking about for a while before I decided to have it done. And I've known since, I was an adult that I didn't want to have biological children. So I just thought I would make this video if anyone else is looking into the procedure and wants to know more about it, or I guess if anyone's just curious. So yeah, this is my experience. And I have notes on my phone, so I'm just going to be referring to those. Yeah. And I'll have pictures throughout, but probably maybe at the end I'll put in just a section with just the pictures if anyone's specifically looking for that. So anyway, after I decided to get this done, I made an appointment with my original gynecologist. I made that was November 27th of 2024, so right before Thanksgiving of last year. When I talked to her, she said I was just a bit on the young side for what she felt comfortable doing, which I know a lot of people can relate to. When you are in your earlier 20s, it's a little bit harder to find doctors who are willing to do this procedure for you, but she was really nice about it. She referred me to another doctor who had recently started at the practice, and she was actually a younger woman. And she said that she would probably be happy to do the procedure for me. So I scheduled, my first appointment with her was December 4th of 2024. And she was great. She was supportive of my decision from when I talked to her. We talked a little bit about why I wanted to have the procedure done, and, I asked her questions from me looking into it and researching, and she answered, and we discussed it, and she said she was happy to do it for me. So we went ahead and scheduled my pre-op appointment, which was scheduled for January 3rd, because we talked about kind of what the scheduling would look like, and she said she could have it for the end of January, which is what I was looking for, because I was, I wanted to get it done after the holiday season, but at the beginning of winter, so that while I was recovering was really, when I was wanting to more so be inside, versus if I got it done in the spring or summer, and I might have been more annoyed at the healing process to where I couldn't swim in the water, or put my go tanning, or just move freely and outside without thinking about it. So that was kind of what I was hoping for, and I was happy to hear that that was going to work out. So I scheduled that before I left, but then the hospital had to call me later that week and set up my surgery, which was then scheduled for January 27th of 2025. So I went and had my pre-op on January 3rd, and we talked a little bit more, confirmed that I was sure, and then I had to take a pregnancy test just to make sure I wasn't pregnant, because you obviously can't have elective surgery if you're pregnant. So that was just standard. And then I scheduled my pre-admission testing with the hospital. Now this was not with the gynecologist who did my surgery, this was just through the hospital, but it was on January 20th, and it was just a week before my surgery. I went and got blood work done, and I was also able to fill out all of my paperwork so that I did not have to do that on the day of the surgery, which was very nice. So then it comes to the day of the surgery, January 27th. when I went to my pre-admission testing, they had given me a list of pre-operative care instructions. Basically, I couldn't eat after midnight the night before, and the night before I had to shower with this special soap they had given me, and then go to bed in clean sheets, which I did, and then I had to wake up at 3 a.m. and drink a Gatorade. I don't know if that's standard. I think it had something to do with the IV shortage that was happening at the time. It might still be happening. I'm not entirely sure, but I had to wake up at 3 a.m. and drink this Gatorade they gave me, and then went back to sleep for 2 hours probably. And then when I woke up in the morning, I had to get to the hospital at 6. My surgery was scheduled for 7:30, but before I went to the hospital, I woke up and I had to shower again with the special antibacterial soap they gave me. So I woke up and did that, and then me and my mom went to the hospital together. We got there at 6. We were there for probably only a few minutes before they came and got me from the waiting room, and we were able to go back together into my pre-surgery room. Yes, so after I got back there, I did have to take another urine pregnancy test, and then I met with the anesthesiologist, the surgeon who's my gynecologist, the OR nurse, and the anesthesia nurse all came in and talked to me before the procedure. I had to take off my clothes and then wipe down with antimicrobial or antibacterial something wipes, which, I don't know, it was fine. And then it put me in a hospital gown and put my IV port in, and they actually had heated air blowing into my hospital gown. They said it was lowered the risk of surgical incision infections, I believe, when your core body temperature was higher, because the OR room was very cold, which when I did go in there, it was very cold, from what I remember. So they had me scheduled for 7:30 a.m., but there was an emergency procedure that came up, so mine was pushed back to 8:30, which was fine. I honestly wasn't very nervous. I was expecting to be more nervous, but I felt very calm in the waiting room, which was nice. And then they come in right before they wheeled me back. They came in. Oh, and they did put a patch behind my ear to lessen the nausea from the anesthesia, which was nice. But when they came in, one of the nurses, I can't remember if it was the OR, the anesthesia nurse, but she came in and gave me some sort of loopy juice. I don't know, but it was pre-anesthesia, half anesthesia, I don't know. But it was good because that was I wasn't anxious until they started to wheel me back to the OR, and that was right when they had given me the shot, and that started to kick in. So they brought me back to the OR. I don't remember very much from when I got back to the OR. It was cold. I feel like the bed that I had to get on was skinnier than I thought it would be. And I remember asking if my gynecologist was there. She was not when I got in the room, but she very shortly came in, and then they administered the full anesthesia to me, and I fell asleep. So that was around 8:30 a.m. I believe my surgery took about an hour. I think I woke up about an hour and a half later in the anesthesia recovery room, and there was a recovery nurse with me who helped me when I woke up. I had a few minutes of nausea, but I remember asking for a bag, but I didn't end up getting sick, which was nice. I was very thirsty, so I had, I think I had 1 cup of water and 2 cups of cranberry juice, and then some saltines when I woke up, which was nice. And then after I was, a little bit more awake, they brought me back into, I think the same room that I was in pre-op. But they brought me back to a different area, and then my mom was able to come back inside with me, and I was definitely still a little loopy, so she received my post-op post-op instructions from the gynecologist. She came in and checked on me, which was very nice. And we were able to leave the hospital at 11:45 in the morning. So I was there for a little bit less than 6 hours total. On the way home, we picked up my pain medicine. They gave me like 7. It might have been hydrocodone. I'll take a picture if I still have the bottle somewhere. But they gave me like 7 pain meds. They said I shouldn't need it for longer than a couple days. So we picked that up on the way home, and after we got back, I just kind of laid in bed, got up and walked periodically, which is good to prevent blood clots and other complications from anesthesia, I guess. I had club crackers and 2 pieces of banana bread to eat, and I mostly just felt fatigued. I had 1 pain pill when I left the hospital, and then I had another one at 4 p.m., 1 at 7 p.m., and 1 at 11:30 p.m. I was not in very much pain, but I did have some gas pain from the gas they use to inflate your abdomen to improve visuals in there. And that was mostly in my right shoulder. I was not as bloated as I expected, which the gas that they use can cause you to be bloated. I was still kind of bloated. And I did have a catheter used, but I did not notice any pain from that at all when urinating, so I was happy about that. My throat was sore from being intubated, and I did notice I had a dry mouth, which can be a side effect of the nausea patch that was used on me. However, definitely would take that over anesthesia nausea, because I've seen that in other people and it does not look fun, especially if, you had abdominal surgery. You don't want to be using those abdominal muscles to retch. But yeah. And sometimes you can have spotting after the surgery. I did not have any, and I continue to not have any through my whole recovery process, which was nice. And I did notice pain-wise, my stomach incision was starting to feel pressure when I was trying to sleep, but it wasn't necessarily a painful sensation. Alright, and moving on to day 1 post-op. I got up, my throat was still sore when I got up, and I was starting to feel the incision. Mostly just felt like a weak pressure and still bloated. I did notice, weirdly, my eyesight was slightly blurry from the anesthesia, which I didn't know going into it was a side effect, but apparently it is, so that was kind of annoying, although it's not like I was really trying to do much at that point. And that I mostly noticed when trying to read small print. I had a pain pill, a Larabar, and a cup of coffee at 7:30 a.m. and sat around for a bit. I took the nausea patch off and laid down for a bit. I went for a 0.8 mile walk outside, which I do think was a mistake because I was very, very tired afterwards. Wasn't necessarily in pain, but that really took the energy levels out of me. So after that, I laid down for a bit. My stomach hurt when I stood up after that, so I took another pain pill at 4 p.m. And I noticed that I felt a little bit more bloated than the night before, but my throat felt a lot better, and then I took another pain pill at 9 p.m. And that was the last pain medication I needed, which was good. So I only needed pain management medication the day of surgery and the first day post-op. So I would say overall my pain was low for having surgery. So day 2 post-op, I felt better I felt better when I woke up, but I still had gas pain in my shoulders, and I was still bloated. I was originally, I got my surgery on a Monday, and I was originally planning on taking Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off, but I did feel well enough to work from home on Wednesday, so I worked from home Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, and went to work the next Monday as normal. But, so day 2 post-op, I worked from home, didn't need pain meds, and I will say, from the anesthesia, I was still waiting to have a bowel movement, and I was drinking prune juice, and it was not yet successful. So day 3 post-op, I said I felt pretty good waking up. Honestly, no pain at all for the most part. The incision looks a little bit more red. And I did, after coffee, had my first bowel movement since surgery. So that was good. So that was on day 3 post-op. I was less bloated after that, but still more bloated than usual. And I worked from home, but I was definitely way more fatigued than normal. On my lunch break, I just laid down, and sitting seemed to be a bit draining. I was able to lay on my stomach with no discomfort though. So on day 4 post-op, no pain, still more tired than usual. And instead of laying down on my lunch break, I did go for a mile walk, and I was not as tired after work compared to the day before. My belly button and right incision did not hurt even when lightly pressed, but my left hip incision was tender with pressure, and that was originally the more bruised one and the one that I thought was going to take longer to heal. Spoiler, it looks the best now. And then on day 5 after the surgery, so on Saturday, I didn't have any pain, and I was able to attend a 3-hour pottery class at the wheel, so I was kind of using my ab muscles. And afterwards I went out to an early dinner with a friend, and I felt fine during and after, but I was very tired at the end of the day, and I did go to bed relatively early for myself and slept for a long time. And the following day, Sunday, I took it very easy. So that was good. And I did go for a mile walk the next day though. So like I said, 7 days post-op, the following Monday, I did go back to work in my office. I have a corporate job, so definitely nothing physically demanding. And I usually use my standing desk, but I didn't really use it that often when I was first going back. And then that Tuesday, so 8 days post-op, my glue did start to peel off. After my surgery, they sealed all the incisions with surgical glue, and that started to peel off at day 8 post-op. And 9 days post-op was my first day wearing jeans again, and I used my standing desk more, and then, just feeling better every day. February 10th, I had my post-op appointment with my gynecologist. Everything was healing well. The glue was still peeling and my belly button incision was a bit itchy. And overall, I would say, going forward, everything was healing well, but one thing I wasn't expecting was how itchy my laparoscopic incisions would be when they were healing. So that was kind of frustrating. I would say after that post-op appointment, they went through a very, very itchy period for honestly maybe a couple weeks. It was very, very annoying. February 22nd through the 24th, I took a trip to see my friend, and I walked and moved around a lot in jeans, and I do think that did irritate my wounds. And at this point, it was my right hip incision which was seeming pretty irritated. It kind of got better and then got re-irritated again towards the middle of March. And March 26th, I noticed there was a small opening in the incision and a bit of clear drainage. I emailed my gyno about it. She didn't seem particularly concerned. And so what I did to kind of make it calm down is just really tried to keep it clean and dry and air it out when I was home. But I think what made the biggest difference was I switched back to just wearing loose-fitting clothing and definitely no jeans for the time being. And, it over the course of a few days, it started looking much better. And then once there was no longer a break in the skin, I started using Lubriderm on it again, which I will say Lubriderm helped a lot when my incisions were really itchy, because for the first a few weeks after the surgery, I was kind of, I guess, dry healing it, like some people do with tattoos, where it was I was cleaning it in the shower and patting it dry, and then otherwise just trying to keep it really, really clean and not putting any products on it at all, and just kind of letting my body heal it. And then after all the incisions were closed and it was starting to get really itchy, putting on the Lubriderm lotion really seemed to help take the itch away. So it is now, as of filming this, April 5th, 2025, and it has been, everything seems to be healing really good. Said I'm still trying to do the loose clothing for a little bit longer just to kind of make sure they don't get re-irritated. But in my opinion, they look really, really good, and I'm really happy with the outcome. I will say the surgery was very easy. I've not had surgery before other than getting my wisdom teeth taken out, but it went about how I expected, and the recovery process, I'm lucky to be relatively healthy and young and don't have any underlying conditions, so I think I was, more likely to have favorable healing outcomes in that regard, but it was very easy and I didn't really have that much downtime. As I said, it worked to my advantage to be able to get it done in the winter, but overall I'm just very, very happy with how things turned out. So yeah, I am sterilized, so that's fun for me. But yeah, thanks for watching. If anyone out there is thinking about getting this done, I hope this was able to provide you with some insight. If you have any specific questions for me, you can leave them below and I'll answer them. And yeah, if anyone is just interested in the healing process of the scars, I'm going to go ahead and put that in now. Alright, and that is all I have today. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.